Hey guys, it's Alex O'Neill. I'm doing a kind of like road show Alex Talks. I hope this sounds okay. So I'm not gonna have any fancy editing stuff. Alex O'Neill from irrationalpassions.com. So you're gonna have to type that into your word keyboard. So I normally use these to talk about video games. I already actually put one out today. So at the request of Mark Griffiths at the RP Genius on Twitter, I'm doing kind of a quickie. Because there's a bunch of crazy news that happened today. So basically, Microsoft was like, hey, we're going to change everything. Not really, but they said they're taking the Kinect out of the Xbox One, which is a big deal because they're also cutting the price down to $400 in the United States, and that is the same price as the PlayStation 4. For those that don't know, now this new Kinect-less Xbox One will be available on June 9th, the same day as the Microsoft press conference. And that's when I'm assuming, just my assumption based on like, hey, we're going to announce this a month ahead of time, is that they're doing something then that is different than changing policies. That means they're probably going to be focused during their press conference, and this news would not fit with that press conference. That, or they just want to get this news out ahead of the press and be like, hey, we're the ones announcing this so it doesn't leak through a retailer or something. But, Christ, sorry. It's a big deal. It's game-changing, honestly, which is, I think a lot of people have been correct in assuming, oh, this was inevitable. This was going to happen. And they're right. Yes, it was going to happen. It was something that had to happen, I think. It's just like, Xbox One is a great system. I have an Xbox One. It is sitting over there. I use it more than I use my PS4, but that there are numerous problems with it. Numerous, and kind of this was a big one. It's $100 more, and the majority of consumers consider the console weaker, which technically it is. But, that's also in part due to the fact that there isn't a good dev kit for it. If you, I actually posted something today. It links to an article. It's just basically they were talking to someone who developed for both Xbox One and PS4, and it's just like the Xbox One dev kit is a mess, and it like the quote from the article is like, hey, when I unplug the Xbox One power, it fucks everything up, and then when I plug it back in, the Xbox doesn't even think it's a dev kit anymore, and I have to like repurpose it for a dev kit all over again. And that's a huge problem. And people are just saying that the PS4 is easier to develop for. That I think that is, the big problem when we're seeing such a huge difference between, PS4 games and Xbox One games, isn't necessarily because it has a slightly better GPU and it has better RAM, the PS4 that is, but it's because the kit that developers are using to build games on it just is not as good. It's not as intuitive, and they can't optimize it for the system as well. And when it comes down to console games, it's all optimization. Yes, PCs will always be better because regardless of optimization, the ceiling on how good a PC can get is basically limitless because it's changing every month or every year with better GPUs, better graphics cards, better CPUs, better RAM every year. So even if a game isn't as well optimized for a PC and it's fucking draining all of your PC's resources, if you have a strong enough PC, that won't matter. But when you're talking about stock boxes that will always be the same for the next 5 to 7 years, maybe even longer, then it's all about the optimization. It's all about how you use each part when you're building the game. That's about as much as I know about game development. So don't take me as an expert. But, from playing PC games and playing console games and playing significantly more console games and talking with the few developers that I have talked to, that is what I have taken away from that. So if there's a better dev kit, it's easier for developers to optimize for the Xbox One. And that's important. That's a problem that Microsoft still needs to deal with, and I'm sure they are. But taking the Kinect out of the Xbox One, because clearly not. I know 2 games that were developed specifically for the Xbox One. D4 by Swery and Fantasia Music Evolved, which is also being developed for the Kinect for the Xbox 360. And it's probably being developed for both because Harmonix, I bet, knew at some point that it just wouldn't. A Kinect game won't sell as well on just the Xbox One, even though every Xbox One came bundled with it. I think that was kind of the reality of it. So releasing for both systems is more likely to sell, and that's why almost any game comes out across generations. But it's just those are the two games that I know were being developed for Xbox One, for Kinect for Xbox One, and I'm sure there are more, and those people are the ones suffering here. Everyone's saying it. Alex Navarro and Patrick Klepek just did a Bomb the AM about it. That those are the people that are gonna take the hit from this. So, those are the people you should be feeling bad for. But Ben Kuchera wrote an incredible article about just why forcing every consumer to buy Xbox One with Kinect was a horrible idea, and why it was mistreating the consumer first and foremost. And it's excellent. It's on Polygon.com. I'll put it in the description below. I also referenced it in my opinion piece that I put up an hour or so ago. It's just, it really breaks it down to the bare essentials of putting this in every box isn't going to make people use the Kinect. It's forcing them to use the Kinect, and you should want a peripheral like the Kinect. The consumer should want to go out and buy it, and that's what should make it a success, not by forcing it down their throats and making it the only viable way to get through your shitty interface. Well, now I'm not necessarily saying that's what the article said or that's what I'm saying, but it is more my opinion. Like, the interface is very, it's not user friendly. It's easier to navigate through the apps and everything with the Kinect, because you can say Xbox Go To and then the name of the app or game, and it'll just jump to it, and you don't have to go back to the home menu. And that's great, but you should have built a better interface to begin with. That's what I think, at least. And that's a problem. Again, another problem that Microsoft needs to deal with. And I have a feeling that they're going to reveal a new Xbox dashboard come E3, because that's kind of what Microsoft always does. At least that's what they've been doing with the 360. So they've taken the Kinect out of the box. It's starting June 9th. You'll be able to buy Kinect in the United States for $400 or $399 US without a Kinect. And you will be able to buy the bundle with the Kinect as well. They're not changing the system at all. Now, if you had asked me like a week ago, and we're coming up on our E3 prediction show for Irrational Passions podcast, if you had asked me if I thought they were going to take the Kinect out, I would have said no. I kind of assumed that this was inevitable at some point, but I personally thought that they were going to go at least the first full year through November with the Kinect in the box, just kind of get those numbers out there and see if it was viable. But, it's probably better that we're 7 months in and they're announcing they're taking the Kinect out. That's better, because then they are looking at all the things people are saying. The DRM stuff. They're taking gold is no longer, or will no longer be required to view Hulu and Netflix. They're looking at things that people are complaining about, and they are reversing them or changing them for the consumer. And yes, at the end goal, it's the business trying to appease the consumer so the system will sell. But that's, the consumer is winning, at least in this case, or at least that's what the consumer thinks. Like I said, months and months ago, I was really pissed off, or not pissed off, but I was disappointed that they were taking the DRM stuff, because that could have been something that was inevitably or ultimately good for the consumer. But because the immediate reaction was so volatile and so angry, that Microsoft too quickly jumped to the other side of the fence and took DRM and digital DRM out of the Xbox One. And I personally thought it would have been a better idea for them to wait and see how the consumer actually responded once they had it in their hands, and then we would know, based on actually how it was, whether it was a good idea to begin with or not. But Microsoft just jumped. They jumped ship from their commitment to that plan almost immediately, like literally 1 week after E3, and that was a bummer, I thought. I know a lot of people didn't, but with this, they put the Xbox One out there. They sold it with the Kinect. They did it for 7 months, and the sales were 2 million behind the competitor, and they had to make a choice. And I think, as a business, they're making the right decision. That's me, as someone who's just kind of following all this. But I if this helps sales, then we will know one way or the other. But the big thing is, like, they got to keep this momentum going because this is huge. Being in parity with PlayStation is a big deal, and I don't think just any kind of price drop, whether it be they're taking something out of the system or not, is a big deal, especially 7 months into launch. That means they are ready to push this thing to the extreme, and I think Microsoft is going to, much like they did last year at their E3 press conference, they're going to throw software at us until we're drowning in it. There were 10 fantastic looking games shown off last year at Microsoft's press conference, and I am super stoked to see what they have now, because it is basically all-out war at this point. Sony is doing amazing, and I know that they are not going to let that momentum go, because they're still announcing 10 more indie games or whatever a couple weeks ago that are coming to the PS4, and they're still pushing that indie front. And I'm sure there's plenty that they haven't shown us yet, just like I'm sure there's plenty Microsoft hasn't shown us yet. So E3 is going to be super, super exciting. That Monday, June 9th, is going to be ridiculous, I think. I am at maximum anticipation at this point, because Microsoft is setting themselves up for success. It would be hard to mess this up at this point. They have made the gamer happy, and that's who they're clearly aiming to. They are targets on the gamer for this E3, and I am curious what they're going to be saying to that consumer to make this product sell. But that's what I think. Let me know what you think. Tweet me at AlphaFighter27. Give me your thoughts. I'll discuss what I think with you. Check out my article. Link is in the description below. We'll be discussing this weekend on Irrational Passions podcast. It's most likely going to be recording on Thursday, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's all I got. I will. I did not expect to do this. I didn't expect this news at all. Like I said, if you had asked me a week ago if I thought that Microsoft would be taking the Kinect out of the box, I would have said no. So yeah, I'm excited. I guess I'll probably be talking about this more on Friday. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and sorry for the quick, less edited Alex Talks.